Hello, my friends. Okay, so this is the planetary weather report for Scorpio rising. You can listen to this if you are Scorpio sun or Scorpio moon, but I recommend people listen for their rising sign because it's a lot more accurate. So this is basically talking about July 21st through 24th, because that's when we're having more movement happening in the sky. I've tried to do this like maybe, I don't know what it's up to, 5 times or something. And every time I've even gotten to 7 minutes and I've thrown the whole thing away because something happens, like the light keeps changing and crazy things. Okay. So Scorpio rising. Basically, the overview of what I'm talking about for this week, Jupiter is having its like last hurrah, and in Pisces, which is a good place. It's like his greatest place. He's going to be meeting with Venus. Great. Could be a little overboard. We'll get into that. And then we're having a full moon in Aquarius, and that's in your place of home and family living situation. And we'll talk about that. Okay, so Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter is like the planet of luck, expansion, opportunity, possibilities, this idea of more, of just optimism. That is good, and he's in one of his favorite places, Pisces, where there's more of a feeling of compassion, or an altruistic kind of feeling, maybe of letting go, letting God, like just let the universe take care of it. It's all going to work out. That energy has been happening since the past couple of months, about 2 months, in your 5th house, and that should have been fun. I hope that was fun, because that sounds fun. In your 5th house of romance, pleasure, recreation, possibly sex, possibly creativity, and possibly children. And it could also have to do with, now my computer's about to shut down. It could also have to do with getting pregnant, because Jupiter expansion, Pisces, watery sign, in the 5th, I would think that maybe some Scorpio risings could have been dealing with pregnancy or something like that. I don't know. Hold on. Okay. So that all has been happening, and that is wonderful. Jupiter is in retrograde right now. Okay, great. We're not going to talk about that exactly, but it's moving backward. And it's going to go so far backward that it's going to leave Pisces. It's going reverse out of Pisces, and it's going to go back into Aquarius next week. So Aquarius is not its exact like favorite place to be. It's kind of like, this is fine. It's like if you go from your home where you have everything and everything feels comfortable to like an Airbnb that isn't terrible, but it's not like great, and you're just like, it's cool, it's fine, I'm doing it. That's kind of where he's going, and he has to go back there. There's no choice in the matter. And moving back into your 4th house of home, family, living situation, roots, ancestry. So that will be good for that area. It will be expanding and giving options and possibilities to that area, which might have been feeling pretty shut down since last December when Saturn moved in. And Saturn is like restricting and building walls and boundaries, and oh, we can't do that. There's an obstruction, there's a lockdown in that place of home, family, living situation, blah, blah, blah. So Jupiter moving back in next week will be like, oh, thank God, there's a little bit of help. There's an opportunity. There's a light on the horizon that's, could be very great. Right now, though, Jupiter in its last moments in Pisces is really living it up and having on Wednesday and Thursday, an exact opposition to Venus. And usually an opposition is kind of tense, but it's not that bad with a benefic like Jupiter and a benefic like Venus. It's not like war. It's more like I went overboard eating or something. So in your 5th house, Jupiter is expanding the recreation, creativity, children, romance, pleasures. And then Venus has just moved into Virgo in your 11th of groups, friends, alliances, people that you belong to, or you think you belong to. You recognize them as part of you. So those are the two places that are being lit up by this opposition, and that's a good thing. It's like also fifth house is kind of like what you put out into the world, what you create, and the 11th house could be seen as the people who consume it. So if you're an artist, especially, this would be probably a pretty fertile, amazing, creative time. Wednesday night, Thursday, and Jupiter and Venus is the goddess of love, of harmony, of bringing things together, of beauty, how we find beauty in the world, and possibly money and values. So both of those coming together is like an expansion of relationships, indulgences, expansion of beauty, of values, harmonious feelings, support, luxury, extravagance. It could have to do with a little bit of maybe too much materialism, maybe too much good food or too much good drink, or maybe extending yourself a little too much to groups, or, saying, overextending yourself like with goodwill, this overpouring of goodwill, or this inflated can-do attitude, maybe possibly conceited, or having to do with consuming or materialism in some way. That's like kind of the bad side of Venus Jupiter here together. It's not like the end of the world, but like don't spend too much, don't gamble too much here with the fifth house. I would think that would be an issue. And maybe don't extend yourself, or like be like, I just met this person and we're getting married now, like tomorrow. This is not the time for that. I don't think that's ever the time, but these are the things that concern me with like Jupiter, Venus. Just going overboard is very easy to do. So just think about that, have a good time, and feel that, create, come together, but just keep it a little bit in check. But it is a nice send off of Jupiter, because he will not be back into Pisces, his home favorite place, until just about New Year's Eve, like December 28th or something of this year. So it's going to be a while. And that's fine. We'll talk about that later. But like, after Jupiter has that last hurrah, it's going to be next week moving into your fourth home, family, living situation. Great. What is happening a few days after the Jupiter-Venus party kind of thing is the full moon. Literally the next day, on Friday, the full moon in Aquarius, in that place of home, family, living situation where Saturn has been kind of locking it down, giving it a lot of responsibility, a lot of hard work in that area. So that full moon is kind of coming in to highlight, okay, let's remember what is over here. We have this hard work going on over here. It's still here. The full moon is kind of bringing into like a harvest of that emotional energy of like, okay, so but what does still need to happen here? Like, it's still here. The Saturn issue is not going away. It's not meant to go away. You have to work on it. So it's kind of like Jupiter is having its last toast with Venus, and then turning around and getting on this train and going back to home to figure out, I got to work on things here and bring some help and opportunity to these areas which are a little stressed right now, especially since late June, going into the early part of this month of July. We've had all that T-square lit up with Mars in your Mars going through Leo in your 10th house of your career, and then Uranus shaking everything and changing everything in your place of one-on-one relationships, like a partner, either through business or romance. So that whole area, that conundrum that's been spinning, it's still that this full moon is kind of like, yeah, we still have to kind of figure this out. So it's nice that you had your little toast and your little lovely coming together, and it's beautiful, but now it's time to get back on the train and go back home and fix things, because it's still a little bit messed up there. So that fourth house is now going to be getting help from Jupiter coming back in, but it will be, the full moon isn't necessarily like party time. This full moon on Friday is more kind of like, oh yeah, we have to deal with this. And it's kind of highlighting what we just kind of went through. So I think that, I will go into more of it next week when we really start talking about more of what is to come. But yeah, I think that's what I wanted to talk about. Jupiter re-entering that place, the full moon highlighting that place of home, family, living situation, ancestry, and Jupiter having its last, hurrah, don't go overboard, don't spend too much, or don't go crazy gambling, or doing something crazy like that Wednesday, Thursday. Just try to keep it together. But I hope you have fun, because that sounds fun. That really does. Okay, so that is what I have for today, and I will be back next week with another little report. Okay, thank you.